All right, just waiting on the Facebook to load here. It's taking it a minute. There we go. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, just sitting here drinking my morning coffee, looking sexy as hell as usual. And usually take a minute to get up and going. I'm going to be in here at least 3 hours this morning. I'm going to try to double stream all of it, see if we get the benefits from that. I'm going to need to do a few things a little different, though. We'll tell guys. I'm going to need to minimize any profanity, and I'm probably not going to do any gear talk. Thurman, your notifications definitely work. Excellent. Excellent. And I don't have to have as much content on these. I can keep all this limited to 3, especially now that I can do lives on Facebook again. I can double dip, so we're good. So appreciate you chiming in immediately, Thurman. Helpful. And again, hopefully we get this up and flowing here shortly. Like I said, it usually takes a little bit for these to get in the flow, but we already got viewers and a like, so we might be off to a really good start this morning. I hope so. I always like it when these get started early because we can just run all the way through and hit everything hard. It's going to be a GPP day for me today. Be a GPP day. So yeah. So how are you guys doing this morning? We at least got viewers. Like I said, everyone needs to hit like though as soon as they get in. So notifications are up. This is super early, so I'm not going to have many Americans in. But yeah, I'm looking forward to basically pretty easy day today. Clients are mostly caught up. I think everyone has sheets who needs a sheet. Hopefully get some new clients. I added some possible applications recently, inquiries. And I got 3 clients talking about coming back right now, and I need them to come back. It would be nice. Client work isn't as busy as normal. So that's letting me do a lot of these because I can basically answer clients while I chat with you guys. All right. I can answer clients. I've already got everybody so far. One of my guys just went out of town and needs to get him a band workout. He's going to be out of town for a week. But yeah, people are mostly good. They're mostly good. Like I said, we could use more clients. One of my guys couldn't afford to pay this month. He needs to drop out a couple weeks. He'll come back. So yeah, in the meantime, just gonna coffee chat with you guys, wake up, talk about whatever we want to talk about. You guys saw the title, Dr. Berg is a grifter. He really is, and I'm not even saying low carb diets don't work. People say, but he's a doctor. Number one, doctors are not dietitians. Number 2, he's a chiropractor, not a medical doctor. You know, there's a lot of problems with chiropractic too. But you know, the guy has made this whole living marketing a low carb is the be all end all. And look, I'm not even saying low carb diets aren't useful. I mean, I've had phases where I do low carbs. It's the insistence that saturated fat in large amounts isn't harmful, and the data showing it is ridiculously high. You know, and I hate when we bring stuff up like that because people right now, because of all this, right. I'm not high end at all in terms of costs. Like Thurman, that's almost a ban worthy statement. I'm really not. Like my online coaching rates are pretty much at average end. For as far as YouTubers go and stuff, I'm actually on the low end. So no, a lot of these guys with big followings charge 4, 5, 6, 8 times what I charge per month. And coaching in person costs more, way more than I charge, because I do virtual. So no, yeah, it's just a matter of my outreach is lower right now. When my outreach is up, it's never an issue. Right? When the channel traffic is high, endless clients. So no, definitely not on the high end. Lee Priest gave you a nutrition plan. I don't give nutrition plans. That's not what I do for a living, Thurman. I actually coach. Do you not know what a coach does? I think maybe you're not understanding. I mean, I've done interviews with clients. Like I did interviews with Doug. We sat down to like a 30-minute call, who I coached for a couple of years, and then he competed and everything else. So I'm thinking maybe you don't understand what a coach does. The nutrition plans don't cost anything. Even my diet accountability is way less. So if a client wants just diet accountability and no coaching, it's $100 a month. Like that's not anything. A new day, new life. Sorry, I'll look into it. Yeah, there we go. And we're double streaming, right? Facebook is letting me stream again. So I'm hoping I get a super long one. I'll be curious to see what happens with the views there if I do a long one. So Thurman, my actual coaching, yeah, we're double dipping. It's too dark to try to triple dip, and it's a lot of hassle with the phone. Although I wonder if triple dipping would help me hit that target for that extra bonus. But no, Thurman, I don't think you understand what online coaching actually is or what I do. Like my coaching actually involves video calls. It involves looking at your form. It involves working around your mindset, fatigue management. I don't just hand you a workout and walk away. Right? We get weekly feedback so that I know how you're doing on fatigue. I need to see how you're progressing. I need to see your reps. Most of my people, we video some of it. Some of my people video all of it. And I look at their actual lifting, assess form, assess perceived exertion. But we spend a lot of time with fatigue management, looking at people's mindset. So I'm not handing people a workout, right? That's not what coaching is. So why when people say, can AI replace a human? So AI is going to do video calls and talk with you about your mindset. It's going to talk to you about your fatigue management strategies for your time management. Yeah, it's pretty holistic, but it's as needed. Some clients don't need video calls. Some people really do just need a sheet, but they're only using part of the available service. Does it make sense? Like essentially it's like paying for a membership and you have about 7 or 8 services available and you choose to use 2 out of the 8. Makes sense? But it includes all the way up to diet adherence. It includes, no, the workouts are customized. And if you've seen enough of the vlogs, you realize every single client has a different program. So like, let's say I haven't been really doing the vlogs lately because they're taking up slots that aren't getting views. But let's say recently you've seen Ted, you've seen Alex, and you've seen Matthias's vlogs. Any of their workouts look the same. Matthias is on a 4-day upper lower, Ted's on conjugate, and Alex is on a 3-day full body. I prescribe their actual weights every week. Like I tell them literally how much weight to put on the bar for all the sets. Or the dumbbell and so on. No, it's programming. It's like I coach. Competition for preps for meets doesn't cost more. It's just part of the package. So if someone wants to peak for a meet, we don't charge extra for peaking for competition. It's just part of the coaching. No, it's comprehensive coaching. Yeah, it's comprehensive coaching. I have a whole playlist for vlogs. There's over gosh, there's got to be 600-700 client vlogs in there. I've had around 15 different clients vlog at different times. Right? The whole playlist. My connection is unstable. God dang it. Can you guys still see me? says it's good now. I can't have it do that. That's unacceptable. Yeah. Yeah, I can see good stuff, Connor. Good stuff, man. I was laughing. I was explaining to Thurman here. Thurman's like, yeah, but your prices are on the higher end. And I'm like, I don't think you understand what services I offer. Like Greg Doucette charges over $1,000 and offers less total services. I'm on the low end. I used to charge a little more. When the economy was better, I was doing 300 for a while. But I only had like 6 clients ever who paid 300 at a time. If my outreach picks up, I'll have to start charging that again now, just for the funnel. All right. I didn't put up my meals yesterday. Like, people are freaking out over my meals. I don't think people can track protein. They're all like, every time when I cut calories back a little bit, everyone's like, oh, your protein is so low. And I'm like, I'm eating 200 grams of protein. I don't see how 200 is low. I think for personal one-to-one coaching, Greg Doucette charges, $10,000 a month. He's famous enough he can do that. And how many clients do you really need to make a great profit? Supply and demand, because he's famous. Celebrity trainers, supply and demand. Good morning, Coach. What's up, David? We got a bunch of members in here. I mean, we can argue that it's extravagant and it's way overpriced because he may not even offer that great of coaching. Okay, but it's supply and demand, and I think people forget that. The bigger your following, the more you can basically funnel wealthy people into your coaching. Except that we have had their whole situation. Louis and Emma used to say that they're like, really, you should be charged. Like, if you could get the clients, or like, your coaching is worth 500 easily a month. Like, Louis and Emma both used to say that. And at the time, Louis was making enough money. He was making like $500,000 a year. But I'm not going to go into their personal life after the divorce. But they both used to say that, which is fair. If I had 500,000 followers, I'd be charging 500 a month, like, straight up, and it would be reasonable. And it's not that, yeah. And it's the reason for that is simply because I could. You don't need most people to be able to afford it. It's the fact that their divorce is public. So, and I'm not going to go into their personal life. It's nobody's business. Are chin-ups and pull-ups on the same be a good idea, or best to simply alternate? Man, I would alternate. I've done both in the same session, but you're only going to get so much quality that way. I would alternate, or I would just pick one and work with it for a bit. JC, good morning. What's up, JC? Man, we're getting a nice little lively thing. Although, how many people are posting? We got 3 channel members, 3 regulars, and 2 likes. Come on, guys. We're also on Facebook. I should probably go over and comment on my own Facebook. Got some stars. I don't know how I accumulated so many extra stars to give myself. Andre, ring pull-ups and neutral grip chin-ups. Well, are they really chin-ups if they're neutral grip? We just call that a pull-up. One of the likes is mine. Fix up peeps. There we go. Likes went up. Yeah, we got 5 now. Get that live out as many. Yeah, the more likes that you guys give, the better it's going to hit. Especially if I do a super, super long one. That's going to be the plan. Man, we got a bunch of regulars in here before 5 a.m. We're going to be on fire. I'm hoping the Facebook picks up. But what's up, fellas? How y'all doing? 11:41. No, you're in Europe. I'm in the Great Republic of Texas. Right? Just like the song, Texas, our Texas, be hailed the mighty state. That's our song. Texas, our Texas, so wonderful, so great. We sang that in school as kids. They indoctrinated us 5 years old. That's right. Texas, our Texas, so wonderful, so great. Texas. United States, also known as Texas in its 49 biatches. Eating some crepes with whipped cream, all right. 10:45 a.m. in the UK. I'm working from home, so I'm locked in. Michael said, yeah, I noticed you're back on Facebook after a spell. It turned back on yesterday. I usually watch on YouTube because sound quality is better over here. Get better. I mean, either one, Michael. They're all good. But some engagement on Facebook is definitely beneficial to me. It's like a couple comments or questions there. Some of our regulars who used to blow them up aren't going to see it yet. Like one of the guys used to come in and leave dozens of comments. And I try to be nice because the guy's got a really good physique, good lifter, but he's like living in Bulgaria and he's wanting to be an influencer. And I'm like, dude, you're not going to make videos. You're going to have to just stick to Instagram because, English being a second language and being reasonably fluent but not articulate, you're not going to be able to be, do this. No offense, but you're going to be stuck with an Eastern European audience. You're going to have a small audience, and I had to explain that to him. Or he's going to need to go take a lot of public speaking courses. You're trying to break into a niche market and you're not extremely fluent and articulate and well-spoken in English. It's going to be a problem. No, I don't think he knows Russian. So I'm like, so in other words, he's going to need to stick to just picture stuff, and shorts. But getting up and doing speaking videos, he's like, well, how do I break in? How do I get hundreds of thousands of followers? And I'm like, dude, you better be able to speak well. If you're going to get video footage, like, if you want video platforms. So I told him you're going to have to focus on stuff like Instagram more, But he would come and post like 100 comments in one video there. He hadn't been through in a while. But he comes through here too, every now and then. I haven't seen him in a month or two, though. Zuckerberg is a fed, but boy. Facebook is the most lucrative social media platform for creators, David. So they pay the most money. I mean, I can say with beyond a shadow of a doubt that whenever my Facebook blows up and I'm getting traffic, my best year on Facebook was way more money than I've ever made my best year on YouTube. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's significantly more. Right? I've never had any $10,000+ months on YouTube. I have on Facebook before. Meaning months where Facebook paid me $10,000 or more directly into my bank account. So no, dude. Yeah. Well, it has a little too much censorship. Their AI is really problematic on censorship. That's one of the biggest issues. Their AI is ridiculous sometimes. It's ridiculous. You just got to be like, are y'all serious, bros? Y'all serious? I might need to be back too. I think I need to get coffee. I'll be back. What's your favorite kind of cuisine? I don't know how to answer that because I really enjoy multiple types, but I don't go out to eat that often. And I don't do cheat days. So when I tend to go out to eat, I tend to eat stuff that's on my diet. Um, but I mean, I could make a case for, I mean, local type, again, cultural. I love Texas barbecue. I love Tex Mex also. I like Italian a lot. I actually really like Olive Garden, to be fair. And some people hate on Olive Garden. I think Olive Garden is phenomenal. Right? They're easily a go to for me. Like if you're talking date night with a lady, Olive Garden's. If you can get away with the food on your diet at the point, I actually really like Olive Garden. It's great. Um, you know, so, but I like Italian. But I mean, I'll take Tex-Mex in a heartbeat. For those the unaware, that is a Tex-Mex. Being the size of Texas is a massive subtype. But it's specifically Mexican food, kind of with that Texas flair. And we grew up on it, as far as going out to eat. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong there. But definitely Mexican food. Indian food's not bad, but we don't have it like they did in the UK. So when I was in the UK, some of the Indian places were actually pretty good. Like I would compare it being real close to maybe the level of Tex-Mex, not quite. I'd still say a tier down, but Indian food in the UK is actually pretty good. Like the mom and pop type places. There was one up on near the first place I lived when I was in the UK. Like rented like a little 2 bedroom thing, and then later rented a 3 bedroom house. But like that first like apartment, there was just on the next street over. You can walk through the alley and get over there. There was a little mom and pop Indian place, and it was actually pretty good. Uh, but I mean, I've had. I don't really like Japanese, to be fair. I mean, it's okay, and but I'm just like it's not better than, and maybe not even as good as say Tex-Mex or Italian. Yeah, I mean, and I've had like growing up, we went and did like a Benny Hondas, and where they cook all of it in front of you. Growing up, we had that with big family things a couple times on the big hibachi, and it's like, you know. And the same thing, it's like, I mean, I do like Chinese, but um, I've had Korean, I've had Vietnamese, but they're not necessarily better than Chinese. So I've had those. I've had Korean barbecue. Trying to think if I've had Greek. I don't know. I've definitely had French places, French restaurants. Um, but if I were to narrow it down, I'm just going to go kind of with my growing up roots, and I actually enjoy Tex-Mex, and I like Texas style barbecue. But one of the regulars who comes through here pointed out, like the Texas style barbecue originates in kind of the areas where I grew up, right? It very much originates there. And when I mean grew up, like right there. He pointed that out, the Giddings Meat Market. He's one of the guys who donates a lot in here regularly. The Giddings type area is where I grew up for the first 7 years. And that's pretty much the almost the origin of the style that's become famous here. It's coming from some of those places. Um, but again, when you've had even some of these guys like Dave Ramsey come over and brag about how amazing the barbecue here is, and his crew and other people. It's like it tells you something. I linked one of those the other day in here of him going to one of the really famous barbecue places. They're only open like 2 days a week, by the way. So people are not aware of that. Some of these really, really profitable, extremely famous Texas barbecue places aren't open all week long. There was one like that near me. It's only open like 2 days a week also. Gordon Ramsay's a hard man to impress. So there's similar style of that too. Like a lot of those are only open a couple days a week because they have very few chefs, but they're profitable. So, with some of those barbecue places, you're like, how are they staying in business open 2 days a week? Because of the line of people, because those 2 days, they are crowded. They're absolutely packed and they sell out everything. Right. They sell every single thing that they cook. It's all sold. People are traveling 100 miles for those 2 days they're open sometimes just for the food. So there are people coming from multiple other cities to get there for, say, that Sunday and Monday that they're open. And, so yeah. So it's more common than you would think for some of those really well-known barbecue places where they're done like the one you saw with Gordon Ramsay, where it's all the big, big grills that are all handmade tanks. And then a lot of the people who run those, they do barbecue competitions and stuff, so they then travel for that. And competitive barbecuing is a thing. And so I had family who did that, to be fair, like family members who were competitive. The downside, even horrible people in my family were, great barbecuers. Hate to have to say that about the one who is dead and in hell, and that person was a competitive barbecuer very successfully. It's just they were a predator. But they were good at high-level competition barbecue. So a lot of barbecuing in my family, with those style of big hand-welded tanks, usually on a trailer. It's pretty common. So I grew up with a lot of Texas style barbecue in the family at family gatherings, and family members and stuff would show up with, the big tanks on a trailer, like a barbecue, big smoker like that, hand welded up, that literally fits on a trailer. And then any big parties or things we went to in the area, always tons of barbecuing. And usually endless amounts of barbecue. So any social event I went to all through Central Texas, growing up, or family related, or friends of family, or things we were invited to, there was always going to be competition tier barbecue in general. So that does make it harder for me to try other cuisines sometimes, because again, I grew up in that environment of this is what I expect from a regional cuisine. I literally grew up around tons of people who barbecue competitively. So even if we would go to other events, so there was a big ranch that was owned by a doctor who used to do really big get-togethers, and only important families and people were invited. There'd be 200 or 300 people, at some of those parties, like there'd be at least one big one every year, and there would be multiple competitive barbecuers showing up, pretty much catering it, you know. So, but definitely Texas barbecue, but Tex-Mex. I love Tex-Mex actually. If I got to pick it, if I got to narrow it down to a separate cuisine outside of that, I'm going to go with the Tex-Mex. And I've had a lot of stuff. Then I would go for Italian as well. So, yeah. Only problem with the Italian, of course, I've got to watch if they're trying to put seafood in it, because I am allergic to seafood. I cannot have it. Yeah. I used to not say that online because I used to worry about people say, "You don't say that. People will use that to hurt you." It's like, oh, if someone wants to hurt me, they're just going to shoot at me. I'm not worried. No, someone's not going to fling a shrimp at me, and if they do it, I can legally use deadly force back because they know that I'm allergic. If they're using it as a weapon, I can defend my life. That would totally stand in court. Flinging something someone's allergic to at them would be deadly force. So I don't really worry about it. You could simply argue that, well, they found out I was allergic and threw it at me. So I popped them 17 times. It would actually fly. Totally defendable. So that's the only downside with some of those. I do have to watch that. I have to definitely let them know. That's the only problem when you have an allergy like that. Like, you have to let people know. This is why stuff like the gluten nonsense that isn't real is annoying to chefs and restaurants, because they have to pay attention. So if you're like, oh, I'm whatever, I'm gluten, and it's like, you don't have celiac, you're not, just stop. But they have to be aware of those things. So, it's a big deal. Like, so chefs do have to take your allergies seriously, because otherwise they could literally be arrested. I can do fish oil. I just can't handle fish. I'll puke my guts up if I try to eat fish. I tried again last year. So last year I made an attempt to try to force myself to eat some salmon. I went and bought some salmon. I'm like, I'm going to make myself eat it. I'm going to tell myself it's going to be good. It's going to be okay. I got it in my mouth, one bite. I started to swallow it, and I vomited and puked my guts up in the sink. Like, I couldn't do it. I just can't do fish at all. I have such a knee-jerk response. I can't even eat if there's fish at the table next to me. I can't even eat my food. I have to get up and leave. Like the smell. But I can just do fish oil. But I wouldn't be able to do, say, krill oil would be a problem. So I can't do shellfish. It's shellfish I'm allergic to. So I can't eat shrimp, oysters, octopus. Right? Well, I mean, I can eat it. It's just not going to go well. I need to have 911 ready to go, an epinephrine shot, because I'm going to end up in the hospital. So, I mean, in theory, yes, I can. Some people, I can technically eat it. It's just going to go really, really badly. No, just seafood, shellfish. The problem is, though, so Connor, let me explain this again. When people say you don't eat fish because of that, I'm not allergic to fish. But because of my childhood, hey, Thurman, I would puke my guts up. Less fishy doesn't work. Even the smallest hint is enough for me to vomit. Have you tried this fish? Have you tried that fish? Well, shark might actually, I don't know if shark might fall under the dangerous for me. I'm not sure. I would have to check, but I don't eat it anyways. I don't eat anything from the water. So I can go down the list of stuff I've puked up. Tuna, salmon, catfish. I kind of gave up at a certain point. Like, I vomit any of them. So if I smell fish at the table, someone's eating fish, I have to get up and leave. I'll start gagging. Like I will actually gag if you eat fish next to me. Like I won't be able to eat. That'd be a great cutting strategy. Have people eat fish near me every time I get hungry. I wouldn't be able to eat. Yeah, I can't do it. Because I associated the taste of fish with going into convulsions and waking up with a tube down my throat from early childhood. So kind of ingrained. So the 2 times I ate seafood as a kid, they had to pump my stomach in the emergency room and give me epinephrine and adrenaline shots. And if I think raw fish like sushi tastes less fishy, doesn't matter. Again, I don't think you guys understand. Less fishy still is fishy. I'm talking the slightest hint, like even a little bit of tuna in a sandwich. Like I've accidentally grabbed a tuna sandwich before with mayo and took, as soon as I bit into it, I puked my guts up everywhere. I didn't even barely got it in my mouth. And I just started gagging and vomiting. It's that bad. Like let me be clear, I am not exaggerating. I'm dead serious when I say that. And I have no way to turn that reflex off. It's like an automatic reflex that I cannot control. And it's instant. And I can't psych myself up. I did it. I prepared for a week to have salmon. I got my head straight and I knew it was going to be delicious. And I flavored it and seasoned it and had soy sauce. And I convinced myself it was going to be delicious. From seafood, yeah, my throat shells completely shut. I don't really remember a lot because I go unconscious. But it's the taste of anything fishy associated with waking up in the ER. Like, dude, waking up with a tube down your throat in the ER when you're 4 years old is fairly traumatic. I remember it both times. Well, no, the salmon, I wasn't by myself for one. But I mean, fish itself usually isn't going to do it. It's seafood. Like it's shrimp, it's oysters, in theory, octopus. About badge odor. Doesn't actually smell like fish. And two, if a girl's got badge odor, you need to have her be seeing a doctor. This is a problem. Why are you eating stinky badge? No, it doesn't taste like fish. No. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been around some badge that stink, and I wouldn't still describe it exactly like fish. No. But stinky badge. But here's the thing, man. If it's stinking, like she needs to go talk to a doctor about whatever she's got going on. That's a medical issue, dude. I didn't ever date anyone who had stinky vag. Thurman, no, it doesn't have a fishy taste, dude. What? There's my breakfast brewing. Dude, Thurman, man, what have you been eating, bro? Homie, like, whoa, no. Guys, seriously. Thurman, brah. No, it doesn't. I mean, they're a distinct taste, but it's not fishy. It's definitely not. Yeah, man, you with some dirty girls that got yeast infections or something going on. Some UTIs happening. You need to have these girls you're messing with go see a doctor, right? Brother, what's that, right? Oh man. Yeah, it's not at all because I actually enjoy doing it. I like it a lot. So, and I can't do fish, so I'm definitely not seeing this. Now, granted, she better have decent hygiene, but still, it's usually a sign of a UTI. There's an infection. There's something wrong. Why are you messing with these nasty girls, Thurman? Okay, that's it. My breakfast is 100% free now. Thanks, Thurman. Yeah, man, why you ruining a brother's breakfast like that? Dude is in here trying to eat. You're talking about stinky veg. Like, homie. Plus, you got to learn how to check for that ahead of time, right? There's different things you can do. This finger smell test behind your back. You can do the little kiss on the tummy. You know, you go kiss her on the tummy. You get a little sample. You can tell by then. You'll know for sure. You do the tummy kiss. You'll know for sure if everything's good. All right. Strategies. I got to teach you guys everything. It seems like I have to, man. Like, do I have to teach these guys everything? Keep it to myself or accidentally. Yeah, no, man. Yeah. You should go see your dentist. You could get a higher risk of mouth throat cancer going down the other ones with that. Okay, that's oh man. Uh-oh, Thurman, Connor's unhappy with you, homie. I mean, your count is only a few days old. So a channel member has voted for a kapow. Does there a second? I don't know. What the hell is even worse story than mine's? Yeah, Limitless will tell you, hey man, there's nothing fishy with any of his girls. Lucy Coach doesn't smell fishy, does she, Limitless? Right? She does. Bro. I'm abstaining from a kapow for now. Sorry, Connor today. Limitless. Lucy Coach is fishy. And you're all got your pennies all twisted up over a girl with a stinky, with a fishy smell. Bro, damn. Beggars can't be choosers. Dude, you know what, man? I mean, I've been hung up over some stupid stuff, some red flags and other things, but I've never been hung up over a girl with a fishy smelling badge. Bro, seriously? Two lives have gone left, right? Man, you guys are too much sometimes. Oh man. Yeah. No, Limitless. This is unacceptable. What happened to our other regulars? You guys noticed Dad and Psych both left at the same time? Is that weird? They both disappeared like at the same time and haven't been back in a couple of weeks. I haven't seen either one of them in a couple of weeks. Y'all know that, like that's weird that they disappeared at the same time. He showered before. Dad is married. I don't think he was. No, it says we showered beforehand, no coach, but still, man. But what's up with that? Dad didn't say. No, I don't think she was sex dad. Like, why did they both drop off at the same time? That is, it just seems weird. Because Dad was in more often than her. I like that theory, more peppermint. You know. But it is strange that they both dropped out at the same time. Maybe it was coordinated. Maybe they did know each other. They were just having some fun in here. And they got bored with it. But it's interesting because he would show up in multiple streams. They were both Australian. Here are the most famous. I don't know about famous. Do we have famous regulars? Yeah, I found you through a friend, Coach Bear. I mean, no, absolutely. Hell, I have clients who found my channel originally through friends. It does happen. It does happen. But still, hold on. I got to get some Facebook posts going. I made one on the fitness page. I called out Andrew Tate this morning. I had to. I just can't. The dude's leading men astray. Even setting aside the fact that he's out clearly in the closet, like it's very clear with what he says, plus the hatred of women. But I mean, the dude smokes cigars, drinks whiskey, and doesn't train his legs. Just stop pretending you're giving fitness advice, dude. Come on. But I can't believe how many people fall for these grifters. You know, the people who fall for these red pill grifters, it's sad. These guys aren't going to help you. You know, these guys are making money on it. They're actually dudes who are pretty much just making money off grifting guys who can't get girls. But it's like they're selling them something that's not going to work. I don't get it. It's just ridiculous. Andrew Street has new Chicago, but his brother does. Andrew smokes. Yeah, but smoking the cigars. I didn't know he didn't. They seemed like I thought I saw some whiskey stuff with some of it. Yeah. EG still comes by. We don't talk about Root. Yeah. So do you guys notice Thurman's got a new account, yet he knows about all these people? Hey, Thurman, your account's only 3 days old, man. Exactly. We all just caught that. Because Andrew lives with his brother. I did not know Andrew Tate was Muslim. What? I had no clue. I feel like I know how this ends, right? He's not a real Muslim coach. He does it for the attention. How do you know, man? I don't know how you get attention and hype from that. How so? Right. Oh, man. He converted to Islam about 3 years ago. Interesting. I did not know this. And it's best not to question people's faith. New adherents of many religions struggle to follow its tenets. Yeah. Well, I dislike Andrew Tate in general. Right. But definitely the whole thing of I mean, he writes pretty much, he admits he hates women. Like he's literally, I saw him right the other day. He came through my stuff. He said, women are all scum. Right. I thought straight away it was a grift from Tate. You know. Oh man. All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm by no means an expert on Islam, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say the human trafficking is definitely prostituting women. I don't think is allowed in Islam. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say I'm pretty sure they're not allowed to do that. Whatever your opinions of the religion happen to be, I'm going to say that I am almost certain beyond a shadow of a doubt you're not allowed to be a pimp. Right? I'm almost certain of that one. Right? You know. You get compelled for doing the things that Tate does. Right? I mean, Limitless lives in a Muslim majority country. I'm sure he definitely knows more about it than I do. You know. But just all that, even the thing I saw a while back, he wrote this whole explanation of how if you kiss women, you're gay. Like, are you serious, dude? He wrote a full, I read it too. It was off of his Twitter. Full explanation of why any man who kisses a woman is gay. I just can't, guys. Like, bro. Y'all serious. About Andrew Tate and abstaining, all right? How the job application's going, let us say they want to know, man, how you doing with that situation. He says, edgy stuff should annoy people, which is also forbidden in Islam. Cigars are forbidden too, and premarital sex, right? I didn't know cigars are forbidden, but they're generally unhealthy. I do know in general, Islam doesn't want you to do stuff that poisons the body. It's a general rule. All right, I'm gonna get some coffee. Yeah. Yeah, I know alcohol. I mean, I have Muslim clients. I know that much too, that alcohol is completely forbidden. Now, but here's the thing, Connor, just like everything else in a religion, you know, like one of my clients who's follows all his stuff pretty strict. He said I've discussed that with him, and I asked him that, and he's like, well, these other guys I know, yeah, from my mosque, they go drinking. These guys, I tell them it's hurting their games, and I'm like, well, they're Muslim. Why do they drink? And he says, and the way he said it, he's like, well, just because it's forbidden doesn't mean they follow it. He's like, just because it's there doesn't mean that everyone's going to actually do what they're supposed to do. He's like, don't get me started. Because I asked him, he's like, don't even get me started on that one. Oh, man. Of course, that's my rule. I don't allow alcohol in my house, so I have a no alcohol rule in my home. You don't need a religious reason to have that. You just need to understand how harmful it is. It's no different from values in life. We know what our values are, but they're not always upheld. I don't know anyone who drinks alcohol, free alcohol. I mean, I guess if there's no alcohol, then I'd allow it, but I've never seen anybody drink any of that stuff. It's even forbidden to sell alcohol in the shop or even touch an alcohol drink yet. Right. But I just don't want it in my home. That's the thing. Like, obviously I don't drink it. I don't touch it, but I don't want it brought inside my home. And that's a rule of mine. Those are the rules. All right. Christianity has a lot of rules, like don't get drunk. I think Islam just takes it. Yeah. I mean, technically, if people follow the rules in Christianity, that would be different too. To be honest, I agree 100% with complete alcohol prohibition. The problem is achieving it. Like, principally, I agree with the prohibition of alcohol. Enforcing it is the difficult part. Ethically and morally, I agree. I don't know how practical it is to really and truly make it work. It's a hell of a fight. And I think the best solution for that is to change people's minds more. You have to get a cultural shift in order to be able to pull that off. So that's why I'm very outspoken about it. And I try to say the same thing. I'm like, so what if every person who chooses not to drink and has any fame or any outreach is simply outspoken about it? You create a culture and a popularity for being against alcohol. Right? I've had at least a dozen people say they've quit drinking because of following me and stuff I've said about it over time. They've learned the problems of it and quit drinking. So if I, with even my limited outreach, can get a dozen or more people to stop drinking, every person who has an outreach does that. You just make alcohol more and more culturally unfavorable. It gets a hell of a lot easier to ban it if you can do that. And I think that's part of the solution. You know, more celebrities did it, right? More celebrities promoted being against alcohol. That would help. I think secularization of Western countries has watered down Christianity so people don't adhere strictly to the truth. Probably some truth to that too. There's some truth to that. Hmm. Uh, my fitness stream, we'd be talking about anything but fitness, but this still falls under fitness, doesn't it? I mean, alcohol kills your gains. Coach, if a girl asks you on a date to go to a museum but only replies one time per day, is she truly interested? I mean, how busy is she? But one text a day? No, dude, she's not that into you, man. But she asked you on a date. So that seems kind of weird. She asked you out, but only replies. How often are you blowing? I don't know. Limitless is too much, man. She asked to go on the museum, but she never replied. Yeah, this is too much, dude. I don't know how to help you with all these rules. Some of us avoiding the topic about his U.S. job applications. That's a good question, David. Yeah, he hasn't commented so far. Oh man. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, just dude. I mean, you with Lucy Coach admitting she got fishy badge. Come on, dude. Yeah, got one text a day. She doesn't call you. She doesn't try to talk to you. Putting a 10 plus. All right. Sending Coach a DM with your qualification limitless. The comments are starting to look suspect. Oh man. Is Lucy even real? David says, I'm not convinced you are legit anymore, nor am I convinced Lucy Coach exists. You said stinky badge. It was after Thurman. Thurman was talking about fishy badge. And I asked him. No, I asked him if Lucy Coach. I did ask. That was me. I asked him, Lucy Coach doesn't, and he goes, but she does. All right. So to be fair, I did ask him on the fishy. I said, Lucy Coach doesn't smell fishy, does she? And he goes, well, sadly she does. Like, bro. So I did ask, actually. I'll have to take responsibility for that one. Just an FYI, guys. So that one's on me. But yeah, dude, you just all these rules, man. You guys got if she did like, bro, either she's into you or she's not, man. All right. Oh man. Oh. Oh. All the channel members arguing. It's all good though. Entertaining. I'm giving Limitless a hard time. But Limitless, yeah, man, too many rules, man. All these. I just made a post. Look, like straight up. I made a post on this yesterday. I saw a screenshot and I put it up, right? So the screenshot, and someone wrote, what was it? This woman had written, a guy asked me out today and I told him no, but I wanted him to try harder. Why didn't he try again? This one guy replies back, who's listening to the CEO, says, a girl asked me what I wanted for lunch, and I said pizza, but I really wanted steak. Why did she bring me pizza? Do you see how stupid the question sounds? That's how your question sounds. But I put in here, I just saw this in my feed. A better answer would be grown men have no time for games. Mature adults know what they want and communicate it. I just put that post up last night. I think that applies here too. Mature adults know what they want and they communicate it. Thanks, Connor. He's a channel member. It takes quite a bit to kapow here. No, Thurman, you don't get to vote on channel members as a non-channel member. It's called rupee in my language. What? I'm gonna have to look these up. Bro, rupiah is the currency of Indonesia. He spelled it exactly how it's spelled on the currency conversion. Let me double check what he said. Harry. Someone shout me. They're not going to shout you a channel membership. No, they're not going to give you one, dude. Well, they think that you're lying is what it is. I think Dave's just jealous I have Lucy. Hey man, he's just David. David Limitless said you're jealous because he has Lucy coach, a woman who makes him her little spoon and has a tuna badge. I'm just saying, man, this is hilarious. He's at least fun for the lulz. You should be encouraging them. I'm very aware it's more money in my pocket, Thurman. But Thurman, we already know that you're previously banned troll. I'm just saying, just might want to be chill. You know. But I do agree, man. It's still money in coach's pocket. It's always a good thing. But oh man, yeah. Membership gifting is randomized. He's right. It is randomized. Oh man. Well, you knew all about banned people previously. Look at those names you ran down, and you're only 3-day-old account, bro. I can tell that. Oh man, you guys are gonna argue. They're gonna be fighting in here. Why are you guys fighting? Why can't we talk about real topics then? We don't want to fight guys. Let's talk about real useful stuff. See, gifted then, I like my odds. Tell them, ladies, chill, man. Do your research, you break into. I mean, David does got a point. Limitless. And you refuse to put up footage. You might not even notice you wouldn't put up the squat footage when the Kapow was all on. I'm just saying. You might not even be Asian. That's kind of where they're going with this, man. I'm just saying, dude. A lot of fake people do come through with personas. You don't have anybody footage, but it's just the point being, they think that you may be kind of faking who you really are. And I do see where they're coming from. I'm not being a hater, Limitless. I'm just saying. I mean, still been entertaining though. So I sit here and just play. I'll be in a member, Well, the members fight with each other, Limitless. They do fight. All right, Desert says started the 4-hour body by Tim Ferriss last night. What? On his muscle growth chapter, he cites a 1977. Oh my God. Are we really going to talk about the Colorado experiment like it's a real study? Jesus Christ, dude. Would you like to know the name of the test subject? His name was Casey Viator, Desert. Bro, that's bullshit. I'm just telling you. Don't even get me. I don't want to go through this again. Like this, Arthur Jones was a grifter who sold workout machines. His whole business model was built around selling machines, and let's just leave it at that. But to really cite the Arthur Jones study with Casey Viator tells me everything I need to know about whoever Tim Ferriss is. The fact that he's citing this as something for evidence for something he's doing, he's a con man. I don't know who Tim Ferriss is, but based on that, if he's citing that specific single case study by a non-scientist salesman, right? Limitless did call for a Kapow on Thurman. Someone else called for. So what's going on with Thurman here, guys? 2 of you previously requested a Kapow on Thurman. Limitless, just the 2 channel members have called for a Kapow on Thurman during this stream. You uncapowed, okay? So I'm gonna let you guys figure out. There's a bunch of channel members in here. What do you guys want to do with him? All right. I'm not going to put up a formal vote at this point because it's been some back and forth. But if several of you guys tell me what you want to do, guys, all you channel members are in here. There's like 4 of you right now. I'll keep Thurman for now and stay with my list. Oh man, okay. For now, we're gonna chill underneath the Kapows for a moment. I think Otis is trying to deflect. Maybe. I don't know. If Limitless plays the victim any longer, yeah, you do need to stop playing the victim to Limitless. I will agree. You got to man up a little bit. You have 3 votes, one of them being a mod. If he mans up, so Connor's just asking you to man up, Limitless. That's all he said. I don't want to say you guys are mean, but Limitless. So you'd want me to kapow you. You literally told me to kapow you. Bro, are you serious? God. Well, if he's doing a good bite, then he's already compelled himself. Like if he says he's not coming back, it's been nice. Take care. People have spoken. Oh my God. This is ridiculous, man. Oh Lord. You'd have to scroll through Peppermint. There's been this whole thing, and then they're wanting to get rid of Lemon. Lemon's got upset, and he said, "Well, kapow me then. That's 3 votes." He said he's mean. Yeah. Oh man. You guys are too much sometimes. Lord. Oh. No, he removed himself so far. Yeah, we're losing too many regulars, right? Well, I'm not banning many regulars, so I didn't kapow. He is still a member, and he's leaving on his own. He may come back. We'll see. It created some lively conversation, but we don't want to lose too many regulars. That is true. Problem is when regulars cross the line with me. You know, like Rufio crossed the line with me, and he was suspect already for a while. You know. All right. Yeah, regulars sometimes become too comfy. Well, there are things with my life around me that I don't like. And I think people forget. So when it deals with stuff you see in the background, I don't have anywhere else to do my GPP. I can't just conveniently go do GPP without footage that's going to have my neighbors' cars and homes. It's no way for me to do it. You know what I mean? So, but I think that makes people think that it's okay to just discuss all of that when I have stalkers, and that's been a problem. You know, like I really, if I want to film my GPP and I want to film my GPP, I don't have a lot of options. You know, unless I want to find a way to cart all my GPP stuff down to a park somewhere where you can't see any neighbors' vehicles. I don't have a choice but for them to be in my footage for the most part. You know, doesn't mean that I want it to be the topics of conversation. Because I really try to leave people out of my stuff as much as I can, right, for the most part. Uh, Desert Star says, like, how do I do that on an immediate short reel on my phone? I don't know how to do any of that stuff. But even then, oh my God, Thurman, trying to blur out, I mean, more people could just stop talking about it. That would be a lot easier. How about you guys focus on the training? And that would actually be the solution. Yeah. The problem is there's not all of my GPP can be done in my backyard, and I really don't like being in my backyard. Why are you being so pushy about it, Thurman? Thurman, you starting to kind of, you could blur out. Why is he still here? Why are you so pushy with stuff? Keep in mind, you're a new account, dude. Keep in mind, Thurman, your account's 3 days old. All right. You know what I mean, dude? All right. Go back over to desert. Diet rules in the book to facilitate fat loss. Eat protein, beans, and veggies each meal. Skip sugar, fruit, and white carb. Skip fruit? He's a grifter. Desert, you need to throw that book in the garbage. Desert. So he's quoting Arthur Jones, the Casey Viator study. He's telling you not to eat fruit. Throw that book in the trash. Wipe your butt with it. Throw it in the trash. It's garbage. That book is garbage. Straight up. Oh, man. Yeah, but Thurman, you know way too much about regulars for someone with a 3-day-old account. I'm just saying. I'm not. Thurman. All right, Thurman, just stop. Hold on. Thurman. Hold up. Is it gone? Is it gone yet? The word stupid written on my forehead because clearly someone while I was sleeping took a Sharpie and wrote stupid across my forehead. Did I clean it off yet? Is it gone? Everybody, I need all the members to tell me, is it gone? The word stupid that someone wrote on my forehead. I need everyone to let me know if they can see it or not. Did I clean it off sufficiently? Because clearly someone wrote stupid on my forehead. They had to have. So I got rid of it. All right. All right. Doing GPP workout this morning, maybe heavy kettlebell swings this morning. Then around lunchtime, I'll do pull-ups. Good stuff, does it? Yeah, quit sending it, man. You guys got to chill. Limitless, I thought you just said you were leaving. You told everybody bye. You told me to kapow you. And then you said bye, and you're in here angry still. Bro, you want real advice? This is very feminine behavior, homie. No, I don't necessarily want you to leave, but think about what you're doing and think about your own mindset and how this affects you in general. You know, you that was a very feminine type thing. And then now you're back angry after you said, well, I'm done. You guys are mean. Then you're back and throwing insults. You know, just saying, dude. Tie myself a bit. Yeah, I mean, that's fair, Connor. Hey, Connor, yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, if that's what he wrote and then took it, telling dude to sit on his Viagra. What? Yeah. No, I mean, that's fine. As a moderator, that's reasonable. I mean, he's telling other members, he's talking about putting his penile in their booty hole against their will. Yeah, man, that's not, you guys, I got to chill. Right? I would not ask another man to sit on my dick. Right. Jason, thoughts on his suggestion of never eating white grains? If you eat grains, always strive for whole grains. And no, Desert. Plenty of people are healthy and fit on white rice. So this guy's full of crap, Desert. I don't agree at all. No, I'm saying whole grains can be beneficial, but white grain, like what's wrong with white rice? Plenty of high level athletes eat white rice. Plenty of competitive bodybuilders get shredded for shows on white rice. White rice is pretty okay. I mean, hell, I eat white rice sometimes. So no. And again, let's be clear. He's talking about the Arthur Jones stuff. He's a con man. Beyond, so did I ban my own channel member? I banned some channel members in the past who were straight up crazy trolls. They bought channel memberships and were trolling out of control. I didn't ban him. No, Connor put him in timeout for telling another channel member, paying member, to have booty sex with him. Yeah. Yeah, I don't believe I timed him out. So Connor put him in timeout. What's up, Felix? Any difference between white rice and white flour besides gluten? It's a clean source of carbs if you don't have gluten. I mean, hypothetically, I don't really sit around doing a bunch of white flour personally. I'll overeat it. I think it's easy to overeat. That's the biggest problem with it. But generally speaking, white flour compared to a lot of other things, not horrible in the grand scheme of things, but how are you going to prepare it? So usually the problem with white flour is that it ends up being an ingredient in a bunch of refined foods. Right? You know? So this is where we run into complexity with white flour, is that you're not doing anything on its own. You can at least cook white rice. You're not just cooking white flour. You're making it a mixture. And a lot of things that you make it into becomes a problem, you know. Asian cultures who are leaner on average consume a lot of white rice. Absolutely, Desert. So this guy is telling you to avoid these things. He told you to avoid fruit. Like anyone who tells you that fruit is bad is a grifter, straight up. He's quoting Arthur Jones's scam goofball study. Whoever this Tim guy you're talking about is a con man. Done. And I feel confident in saying that based upon the things that you told me here. This guy sounds like a total con man. Yeah. Beyond Belief says, banning your, he's not banned. He asked me to ban him, actually. All right. Message delete. How are we going to know about Lucy, Coach? Oh, man. I feel like Lemons must have been either Dad or Rufio's backup account. How do we know you're not Rufio, Thurman? Keep in mind, you're only 3 days old. Or close to the time where I banned Rufio. Well, clearly, I have the word stupid written on my forehead. I also know that you're British, Thurman. You used a slang term that is exclusively used by the British in here, by the way. No American uses that term. I'm not going to say what it was. Had I not lived in the UK, there's something you said that I would have no idea what it meant earlier. As an American, I would have no clue what you said. I've spent 3 years in the UK. Anyway, I need coffee. All right, we're back. Hey, Danny, I've got my moderators in here. They do a pretty good job overall. No, it's all good. No, he only timed out. He only timed out Limitless. Limitless literally told me to kapow him and said he was leaving and then came back and started insulting. He put him in timeout. He didn't ban him. I have moderators for a reason. It reduces the load on me. It lets me get up and go do stuff, make coffee. You know what I mean? We're good, dude. We're good. Although, Danny, your thing is hilarious. Naturally enhanced midget bra. That's a good clown on. No, Danny, but that's a good funny joke at Strap On. I just checked Danny's channel. He has a naturally enhanced midget. Oh Lord. White cards apparently spike blood sugar fast. That spike triggers a strong insulin response as a job as a store energy when it stays high. Hey, Desert, that's bro science. That's bullshit. Eating higher glycemic index carbs does not keep your insulin levels chronically high. Being insulin resistant keeps them chronically high. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think did Beyond get timed out or he just deleted his comment? I don't know. I don't think he's timed out. Be honest with you, he was timed out for 300 seconds. Yeah. Hello, Sean. Hey, Sean, if we could not be weird today, I would appreciate it. I'm going to just ignore your weirder questions rather than get bothered by them. If you ask anything weird, I'm just going to ignore it. But in any event, yeah, whatever his timeout should be gone. Now, stuff gets out of control in here, guys. I like having some moderators, and I'll give them fair judgment calls. I don't remember where I got it from. I think this mug came with one of my exes, and then I ended up keeping it. But Walking Day is not normally crazy like this during the later in the day. Oh, Felix, you're never in the coffee chats, are you? It's a totally different crowd, man. Yeah, it's been an unusual morning live. Mods are power tripping. Yeah, it's all good. No. Oh man. Guys. No, we don't need to kapow anybody yet. Felix, we don't need to kapow anybody yet. True, guys. I mean, I do have to kapow trolls. Keep in mind, a lot of the people I'm kapowing are the same people all the time. Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, Connor, we need to probably chill on that for a bit, man. Tone it down. It's all good. Hey, Sean, I have no idea. I mean, if I jogged with shoes, it would have to be a minimalist shoe. So probably something like Vibrams. Is niacin or slow niacin a supplement that has fell out of favor with fitness community in more recent days? I don't know that it's useful. You know. All right. Oh. That should reset it. I think I put him to allow beyond belief. I put him for a 10-second timeout, which should undo the timeout. We'll see. Now, beyond, if you'll just kind of drop the thing of arguing with the mod, man, that'll solve the problem. If we could please do that, and let's get back. Let's get over to real topics, man. This is turning into all the people in the channel are turning the timeouts and the stuff into the topic instead of us getting into real conversations. So can we get over into real conversations instead of arguing about the troll banning and moderation and stuff, guys? Come on. Let's come over to real stuff. Thurman, although you are pretty much a troll, and I already know that, dude. Like, I've been borderline kapowing you this whole time, just an FYI. Do you think the AI stock boom is a bubble that will blow? I don't know, David. I have no clue. I don't know what that means. So maybe you could start the conversation by explaining to me what an AI stock boom is. That would help. Is this a basketball team? Is this a, Oh man, you're still here, Thurman. We didn't compile you. All right. Desert stars. Niacin is just a vitamin. No, niacin is a B vitamin. I don't know why you guys are supplementing it though. There's specific cases where it's supplemented in high doses by cardiologists. Yeah. Hey Thurman, but man, you pretty much have outed yourself as a band troll a couple times. So, I'm gonna go ahead and put you up for a vote. So Connor wants to kapow you. You had another kapow call. We up for a vote on Thurman. I'm gonna make it diplomatic here. We're gonna use some democracy instead of me just going straight to it. I'm pretty sure I know who he is though. So it's someone I previously banned. He's been put up for a vote by Connor. Kapow or stay. Felix gives a kapow. Peppermint's abstaining. Unless you want him to stay because he's at 2-1, Peppermint. If you want him to stay, you may want to vote for a stay. The share prices of NVIDIA, Alphabet, Google have risen a lot in recent years. Okay. Sean gives a kapow. David, what do you say on you voting on Thurman? Well, in this case, Thurman, you have been found guilty by a jury of your peers of being a spy and a former banned troll. The sentence is death. Kapow. We'll see you again in a few days. So, all right. Well, too late already. We had 3 versus 0, David. Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back for him to show. I gave him time. No, I gave him time. All right. let's get over to other things. So, David, I don't know anything about this area. This is not an area of knowledge for me. The limiting factor for AI will be energy. At some point, nuclear power will be necessary. And currently, in the US, getting a license to build a nuclear power plant is prohibitive. I'm very pro nuclear power. No, I don't speak any Asian languages at all. Like nothing. I know one word in Chinese, ni hao. That's all I know. That is the extent. Oh, I know one other Asian phrase, tubuku. That's the extent of everything I know in Asian languages. That's it. That's the entirety of it. That is my entire vocabulary in all Asian languages. There you go. What's the deadlift at? Best recent, I've done 500 for 6. I've done 550 for a double lately. So that's it. That's everything I know of all Asian languages, Sean. And I've learned it all from other meme stuff or movies. So that's it. Right. And then we have certain risks with AI that we have to consider, that AI could ultimately result in the extinction of humanity. Right. But it's not there yet. AI is a long way from reaching human intelligence. My favorite lift is deadlift. How would you rank the top 4 intelligence agencies in the world? I don't know. I don't know how I would rank them. No idea, Desert. Again, we need to be clear. We are nowhere near reaching that point with AI intelligence. AI is still not as intelligent as the stupidest humans yet. Right. Thoughts on Mike Minder's 2-a-week sessions? Horrible. Man, are we going to have a single day where people don't bring up Minter? David's calling about just for asking about Minter. Why are people talking about Minzer in 2025 at all? This is crazy. Why does it get asked every day? Yeah. Yeah. You're asking a Mike Minzer question without paying me. You have to have a super chat. No further questions will be answered about Minzer for free. Mike Minzer questions need to come with a paid super chat. You shouldn't. Why do you even know who Mike Minzer is in 2025? He's not relevant in any way. I'm not being mean. He's not a relevant figure. No question coming on Minzer. I have no idea who that is. Mr. Olympia competitor who lost to Arnold, took second in the Olympia once, had some good training back then, great physique, went crazy later in life when he was a writer, got addicted to methamphetamine and wrote some really crazy, insane training ideas that failed to work. He tried to coach people, never successfully coached any pro bodybuilders. And then he died. He came up with really crazy ideas, like 1 set a week. He became kind of a cult figure. But he suffered from mental issues, and he self-medicated with methamphetamine. And then he started writing really, really crazy stuff. Like literally 1 set every 10 days to absolute failure is enough to win the Mr. Olympia. It was like the sort of stuff he was coming up with. But he himself did 6 to 10 sets a week while competing in the Mr. Olympia decades before. So there you go. That's a brief summary of Minzer. He's not a relevant figure at all. Like his stuff didn't work. Like it didn't produce results. Like nobody got jacked. The closest was Dorian, but Dorian didn't do what Minzer said. He did way, way, way more volume and work. And pretty much everything that Minzer taught has been debunked with modern science. Okay. I don't know what Nexzilla programming is. I don't follow current pro bodybuilders, man. I'm not interested in it. I don't care about it. Yeah, I don't see why. Minzer's picked up a weird following in the last couple of years again out of nowhere. Just out of nowhere, just randomly popped up due to TikTok or something. But I don't get it. Like he was a dead topic for over a decade. He finally faded into obscurity, and then TikTok brought him back. Oh, man. Were you a fan of Jay Cutler? No, not really. I'm not a fan of many people in general. And since I don't follow pro bodybuilding, why would I be a fan of it? Like, I don't like modern. When I say modern, Jay Cutler is modern bodybuilding. I'm just not a fan of people in general. Like, I'm not a fanboy type person. You know. Oh, man. Anything happening on Facebook? No, it's just kind of chilling. You prefer plug squats? What? Wow. All right, that's an auto kapow. Kapow, get out of here with your perversion. We don't care about whatever your fetishes are. You can keep them out of here. Done. Yep. That's easy enough to deal with. All right, hold on. I got to do a Facebook thing. Yes. Yeah, I just can't with people. So the guy came in talking about Minzer and then goes right to squat plugs. I'm just telling you, man. There's something always wrong with Minzer fanboys. Just saying. All right. I think people like to argue for him because it feels like they're sharing with people some kind of forbidden secret knowledge, and they also believe he should have won. But that has nothing to do with the ideology he promoted later. Jason, is it normal for older women to reject younger men because they see he's young? I'm trying to pick up 30 middle-aged women sometimes. Um, Yeah, I don't know, man. I have no idea, Sean. I have no concept of this. I have no experience in this area. I mean, for dating, a lot of women are not going to want really young guys. I mean, they might sleep with you if they're that's what's going on, but probably not. You know, right? Well, they don't definitely don't want a boy. They don't want to have to be a mother. They don't want man children. This is one reason women don't like guys who video game a lot or watch anime. They don't want man children at all. They're like, if they want a son, they're like, I'll just have a son and raise one. I don't need one in my bed. So there's that to factor in. That's the reason a lot of this, the hobbies that men are picking turns women off. Right? But as soon as they get a little older, they're not going to be counter. I don't think they are as a whole. I think it's a small number of them. But generally, women find it very off putting for men to be into anime because, again, they're tired of overgrown boys. They don't like man children and they see it as childish. Yeah. Has learned this college. He's still here. Now I banned him already. He was talking about squat plugs. Um, hey, Sean, he probably won't though. So, and they're still going to see it that way. I'm just telling you how the women are going to perceive. You're not going to change their perception. You're like, well, what if a man watches cartoons and everything, but is highly responsible, gets stuff done, and has money? They're probably not going to see. They're still going to see you as being a man child, right? You know, that's going to be your issue. Um, Felix says, Sean, it depends on the woman, but if they're older and you're watching that type of stuff, women from different older generation will look at you as a baby. Yeah, absolutely. I went to the physio today, coach. Luckily, only low grade tear on the LCL. Okay, good stuff, man. Mm, right? He's 28. I mean, look at natural hypertrophy. He lives in the shed watching anime and now is MIA, right? All right. This tells us everything. 27, but you'll be fine. But if you want a girl in their 40s, it's a no go. Yeah, the anime is going to be a problem. What's your diet? I'm a chicken and rice type, bro, Mika. It doesn't have to be that. Like I've done a lot of potatoes and watermelon this week instead. but I'm pretty much a chicken and rice type guy. So I'm a bro diet type of dude. Sean, if you like anime, I mean, that's a good point too. So, I mean, that comes to all of this. The more things you have in common, right? The more things you have in common with a partner, the more likely it is to work out. Yeah. Just go to Comic-Con, right? Like the research on this is clear. Opposites do not attract for long-term relationships. Like, we need to be clear on that. This has been researched heavily. The more things you have in common with someone, the more likely you are to stay with them long-term successfully. Every single thing that you have is a strike against you that's different. Every single thing that you have difference is another percentile that you're not going to make it. Obviously, Greek yogurt and fruit to go to meal, absolutely. Which I push that too. Sean, you're asking me, could I, or would that necessarily be ideal? Well, they better at least care about their fitness. But, I would get them into lifting if they didn't. But no, ideally, probably not. Wouldn't be high on the list. But again, we come over to the point. Every single thing that's different between you and a person, like if you were to go down and find everything in your background, your past, your hobbies, your values, again, your background, the more degrees of overlap you have, the research shows the more likely you are to have a successful long-term relationship, or particularly marriage. Opposites do not, no. People say that, but the research says it's not true. This has been studied for decades. Okay? This has been studied for decades. Every single thing you have in common with a person, the more likely it is to work out long term. And I'm talking down to the little things, all the way down to, I'm talking even the same ethnic background, like subcategory is actually a strike. Or a bonus. The more things you have in common with a person, similar upbringings, everything. Yep. Religion, absolutely. Values, lifestyle, politics. And I'm not saying you have to, but when you're looking at statistically, the more overlap you have, the higher. Well, Limitless said he's leaving, David. So this isn't an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. He's got a point. Religion, lifestyle, politics, but all the way down to hobbies, the lifestyle. Like, yeah, absolutely. That's lifestyle. Lifting weights is a lifestyle. Eating healthy is a lifestyle. Right. I've never been with a black woman, no. That's the one group I haven't. Yes, Sean, I only date omnivores. Jesus Christ. Sean, do you understand how rare carnivores and vegans are? Like, do you not understand how insanely rare that is? They're not like real people. They're such a tiny groups of people. They're not statistically significant. All right. you know. So, Sean is obsessed with the topic, by the way, Mo. He's got mental issues. He's admitted to it. I ate a pescatarian within some weeks. She was eating steak. Yeah, they're really not that common, Sean. But let's drop all that. How about lifestyle? We come back over to lifestyle. The more lifestyle overlap you have in common, the better. Right. And keep in mind, a lot of those are very temporary things. Like people don't necessarily do them forever. Most vegans don't stay vegan. Most vegetarians don't even stay vegetarian. Like these are things that people flow in and out of. So keep that in mind. But like Felix said, a lot of times they get with someone who does this different, and before long, their lifestyle changes. But again, the more overlap, the better. So if you watch anime and she doesn't, this is not good. Right? Not saying it's not going to work, but just on average, guys, the more stuff you have in common, like not too big of an age gap falls into that. Again, similar upbringings, everything. The more overlap, the higher the probability of success. Lifestyle can overlap on everything, but one critical priority, like wanting kids or religious beliefs, those are deal breakers. These carnivores are becoming they're objectively worse. Carnivore has become worse than vegans. I've said that numerous times. Carnivore has become crazier and more extreme than veganism. It's finally reached that point. Right. I think the opposites attract. That's what they're talking about in terms of personalities, like an introvert and an extrovert sometimes. That's what they mean. They don't mean the other stuff. They don't mean all the important things. Right. Hey, Sean, if we're going to promote eating tasty food versus destroying our health, this is not the right channel for you. This is not the appropriate channel for you. Eating pizza is tastier than eating healthy. Do we promote it? Carnivore is deadly. Let me be clear, Sean. If you're talking about which one is going to kill you faster, carnivore will kill you faster than a vegan diet. It is worse for your health if you have to pick between these vegan or carnivore. And I'm not telling you should. It is objectively, veganism is healthier. I'm not saying veganism is healthier, you should be doing it. But if you had to compare the two, it is the healthier of the two categories, especially for the long term. So, Felix says, for example, we work out together, watch a new show every night, and both same religion and the different hobbies we have. We support and engage with each other, but the working out together is nice. Yeah, see, that works, Felix. There can be some obvious differences in hobbies, but if you have some hobbies that overlap, that's great. But the working out, if you both work out, that's great. But the more stuff you have in common, generally, the higher the probability of success. But we could lump all that in. I mean, obviously, but say, well, the religion needs to be the same, of course. But religion is one of the categories. The more you have in common with a person, the more likely the marriage is to work. Right. Right. Connor, absolutely. In theory, it should be needed, but there have been people who successfully done it. They're rare, but it has been done successfully, but it is rare. But again, we're talking probability of success. Probability of success. Your odds are dramatically better if you share the same religious beliefs. Like Christians and Jews have married and been successful, for example, but they're the exception, not the norm. Sean, I don't even know any Muslim women. Like, I don't know any, let alone having dated one. I literally don't know any. In general, I say 99% of the time, excluding exceptions. Yeah. I mean, probabilities. Yes, I've known a few Muslim men and clients. I've never in my life had a conversation with a Muslim woman, even once, ever. At any point in my life. Brother Berg has been married over 40 years. Cannot imagine my wife and I being of different faith, especially during the child rearing years, right? I mean, makes sense. Jason, what about people in relationships with busy lifestyles? I don't understand the question. So he said, Jason, what about people in relationships with really busy lifestyles, high stress and pressure jobs, etc.? So what about them? What are you asking me? My best friends are Muslim. And okay, Connor, I don't know any at all. Sean, plenty of women do what I get a lot of women who watch. I have way more women on my Facebook. My Facebook is 50% women, by the way. But there are women who come through here all the time. I've had women clients. I had a former client come through last night who is a woman. Like, she came into the super chat. Yeah. But I think Brother Breaker raised a point. Generally speaking, perhaps almost strictly speaking, devout Muslims are not very outside their faith, and you wouldn't expect them to, right? Yeah. Felix is right. Muslims and Christians don't really mix. Someone's going to try to convert the other, and that's where you run into conflicts. Like, I can be cool with Muslims, but if you try to convert me, we got a problem. Like, I can be friends, I can have clients who are Muslims, all that stuff, but if you try to convert me, we now are in conflict. You might be an enemy at that point because you're now interfering with my faith. As long as you're not trying to convert me, we can be super cool. And I think most Muslims would feel the same way. If I try to convert them, they're not going to be real happy about it, right? Right. Sean, I don't want to sit around just having a discussion with you about needing to be educated about it. Issue is Muslims are more zealous, and I'm extremely zealous of a Christian compared to your average watered down Christianity in the West, right? Right. Right. The views are quite low in there. So, all right. We've had definitely interesting conversations here today. They've been a non-standard. You guys are aware that like most of this conversation today has been about either religion or bots. So Jason, no more deadlifts 3 times a week. I said that, but I don't know that I can stick to it. I was thinking about that last night, addicted. I'm like, do I really want to do that? I think I should just deadlift 3 days a week anyways. I just get so much out of it. It makes me thick. Deadlifts do make me thick. All right. I mean, I was doing pretty good on deadlifting 3 days a week. So I felt like I was hitting a little bit of a wall, but I think it's some of the overlap with the GPP. Thoughts on Frank Zane? Are you asking me something specific about Frank Zane? My thoughts on Frank Zane, it's would be a lot. So I need you to ask me a specific question about Frank Zane. One of my pet peeves is someone asking me for my thoughts on something big. It's just too vague of a question. I currently squat 3 times a week. Yeah, I do too. Yeah, it could be a factor with the GPP. You'll be fine, right? I think where it was the most problematic was with too much running. Was definitely an issue. That's where I've definitely run into problems. Mainly the hamstrings were not able to handle deadlifting 3 days a week plus the running I was doing. Like my hamstrings were hurting all the time. Like waking up with hamstring pain, that's not good. You shouldn't be hurting when you wake up in the morning, even at my age. Do you play the guitar at parties, Jason? Yeah. Since multiple of my close bros all play the guitar too, it works out pretty well. Keep in mind, there's 3 guitarists in my inner circle of friends. 3. We all have Les Pauls also, by the way. Daily step mill, 45 minutes helps. Need to get intense cardio without joint pain. Okay. Well, I don't get joint pain. Hamstrings were not a joint, but my hamstrings were definitely a problem. I already have a band. All right. I just don't discuss it with you guys. All right. Again, I keep my personal life off of here. Do you like techno? Not really. Not really my thing. I'm not big on electronic music. I like some rap. I only like real rap though, not this modern goofy stuff. It's got to be gangster rap. If you're not singing about pulling out your 9, I don't want to hear about it. Three times a week deadlift sounds brutal. That's what I've been doing. I like Eminem, Biggie, or Tupac. I'm gonna go with Tupac. All right. I like Eminem even though he's not gangster rap. Do you listen to AI 50 Cent? I don't know what that means. What do you mean? So explain to me what that is. I know who 50 Cent is. I'm very familiar with 50 Cent. I don't know what AI 50 Cent means. Like, I don't actually know what that means. You're going to have to explain this to me. Yeah, Felix, it is only one deadlift set a session. But I mean, I'll do stuff like pull 500 for 6 reps. right? Like I'll squat bench and then do 500 and do an AMRAP with it. Yeah, 3 sets of deadlifts 2 times a week with Berg either once. Yeah, that would be a lot to deal with. I could pull 500 for a 6 or 550 for a double and call it a day on the deadlifts. But I'm going to end the Facebook because it's just not getting much traction yet. I do need to make some other posts there, though. It's a little slow this morning. So that's cool. I saw him in 2014 Arnold Classic. I don't understand the question at all, Sean. Yeah, M-reps are tough. My 365 times 8 was sort of like that, although it wasn't super hard. Just having trouble adapting to heavier weights as far as trunk stability is concerned, if that makes sense. No, I get it, man. Hey, Sean, I don't understand that question either. That just seems like a weird question. Like, I have no idea what you're asking me. Laura says, going to vote now. We have local elections here today in Copenhagen. All right, cool. Like, what do you care about most and hope for humanity? I don't have no idea. No clue, Sean. All right. And no, Jason, not voting for left parties. All right, good stuff, Lars. Sean, let me just simply say I'm a very deep philosophical thinker, and so I don't have an easy answer to anything like that. I don't go in depth into a lot of philosophy here because it would, yeah, it would get long and drawn out and boring. Yeah. I spend a lot of time thinking about the nature of reality and how it pertains to religion and theoretical physics and everything else. That takes up an enormous amount of my brain time, especially laying in bed at night. So I need to go make some more coffee. I'm going to be right back. Connor, watch the chat. we're back. All right. What's up, Sean? Oh man, I don't know anything about all these politicians. I'm around for about 30 minutes every time for you to give me. Oh man. All right. Sean was once concussed in a kickboxing bout at 16, 2014. Paramedics asked me what the PM was. I said David Cameron, and he's rubbish, and they let me continue. I think the NHS is pretty bad, personally, in my opinion. Yeah. The only negatives to the U.S. healthcare system is that it's expensive. Like that's the actual criticism. Like U.S. healthcare is the best in the world. It's just expensive. The NHS is horrible in comparison. Healthcare is not a human. No, healthcare is a service, like everything else. It's not a human right. How are you going to pay for it? All right. Well, there you go, Lars. Congrats. But that's a whole separate debate and argument, isn't it? All right. Sean, I don't believe that anyone has a right to any labor or service of another. I just don't feel that way. That's just reality. I don't believe in communism for the most part. I just don't. Are there things we could do to improve some of this? Vertebrate, take the attorneys out of the healthcare system. Keep in mind, Sean, you're calling me evil for having a political opinion on a political matter. I don't believe people have many rights at all. You have a right to not be tortured. You have a right to not be murdered. You have a right to certain things. But generally speaking, I don't think people have a basic human right to the work or the labor of other people. Right? Yeah. But that's a philosophical viewpoint. We have a right to that which we can carve out and earn. But that's my worldview in general. I've had to claw and fight for everything I've ever had in my life. Everything, you know, and that's just the reality. That is a reality. You know. Mm. We perform test after test on patients that are there for attorneys only. Yeah. Interesting point, though, Verta Breaker. I had a bunch of testing when I got really sick that ended up a lot of it being unnecessary. I had a neurologist assign me to a spinal tap to rule out multiple sclerosis for a second opinion on my Meniere's disease originally. Right? I was diagnosed with bilateral Meniere's disease and I wanted a second opinion, and the doctor sent me to a neurologist who said he was 90% sure that the ENT was correct, but he couldn't rule out multiple sclerosis as a 10% chance without a spinal tap. Yeah, I mean, so David's point, I'm not saying that the NHS is worthless. I'm saying that compared to the US system, that the quality of care is just not that good. And it's not free. You know, a large, but most people are not born with a handicap. So we're talking about disability versus just a general right. Those are not the same conversation. It's kind of like whenever we bring up the trans topic, people say, well, but what about intersex people? Like, well, what does that have to do with the conversation? What does it have to do with everybody else? So let's come over. What about people born with no handicaps? How about those people? Um, I remember when I broke my arm, I had three different people say three different things, right? Um, you have cancer said the nature of service is world class. Okay. Uh, if you found out a girlfriend was intersex, which you probably don't, then how have you reached the girlfriend stage without finding out they're intersex? So, I mean, realistically. And intersex isn't one thing. Intersex is a wide variety of things. So that's the other problem with this. They'll be like, well, whatever, 1% of the population is intersex. That's like 9 different medical conditions. They're all lumping into one category so that they can try to make it significant in the conversation. So if you found out your girlfriend was intersex, well, could you be more specific? There's a wide variety of conditions that are qualified as intersex. That's not a specific medical condition. Which medical condition are we asking about? So there's a lot of nuance to that, dude. All right. Well, Felix, technically some intersex are, it's a little ambiguous due to the actual genes not being. So Felix, so if you're thinking of that traditional binary thing, um, that's one type of intersex is where you are an XX or an XY, and there's a problem with undifferentiated or improper development of genitals. But that's not all. Some intersex are actual chromosomal conditions, and there's a little bit of complexity to that. But again, this is a very, very small chunk of people. And it's intellectually dishonest to make it part of that other debate when people do it. Well, what about so, because generally 99+% of us were born as an XX or an XY. Right. Right. Well, in some cases they have no fertility. In some cases they do maintain fertility. So intersex is a wide variety of conditions that are thrown into that category now. That's a newer term, but they're individual medical conditions. There's all sorts of stuff. There's Klinefelters. There's triple X. There's fragile Y syndrome. There's all sorts of different conditions. There's also specific, like what's it called, Seaners or whatever, to where they can be born male but with external female genitalia, but they don't have a womb or ovaries. They have undescended testicles and so on. Triple X is a thing, though. I know what you're saying, but no, that is an actual chromosomal condition where you have an extra X chromosome. So a woman could have that. So you'll have men who can, so some people have 3 chromosomes, not the 2. So this is what we're talking about. But that, but the point here, there's all getting lumped in now as just being called intersex as an argument regarding the trans situation. And that's intellectually dishonest because these are all valid medical conditions. These are all valid medical conditions, but they don't remove the reality for the other 99% of us. Mm. Right. Yep. So whereas in my viewpoints on a lot of this stuff with government funding, no, I definitely believe in capitalism. However, part of our issue, yeah, where's all the training questions exactly addicted? We need the larger fixes to our bigger problems before we can even have these real conversations. Until we deal with our addiction problem and flow of drugs problem, these are relatively moot points. We have bigger things to fix. Then we can fix these other economic related issues. I mean, drugs and addiction and the crime and all of that is our biggest problem. Drugs and alcohol are our biggest problem that create and exacerbate all these other issues. So until you fix that, we need to stop spending money on anything. We need to fix these problems. Then how many of your problems that you want to use socialism to fix don't need to be fixed to the same extent? How much poverty and problems do you have if drugs and alcohol go away? That's the cause of 90% of it. Execute all the drug dealers, wipe the cartels out, lock it down, and then go after alcohol next. You make these things go away. Do we have a poverty problem? Do we have poverty in America with these things going? If drug addiction and alcoholism go away, do we have any poverty? So, but addiction, are we talking about? I mean, people talk about there's only so much we can discuss with trading, unfortunately, addicted, especially in these long streams. Our biggest problem is without a doubt culture, everything else proceeds from it. Yeah, absolutely, Felix. But what happens if we remove our drug and alcohol problems? How many of these other problems magically start resolving themselves? What happens if crack and meth no longer are available? And then we hammer down on alcohol. How many of our social problems go away? How many of our economic and poverty problems go away? Right? Right? Middle East kill drug dealers and ban alcohol, and they're rich. Yeah, valid point. So that's what I will say that Muslims absolutely get correct. They straight up just kill these people. They get rid of the drugs and alcohol. That fixes a whole lot of problems. Right? Um, um, Frederick says I'm on my last beer after 2.5 day drinking. Did you, Frederick? You came in before. Did you go look into a program like we talked about? Nay, but Peppermint, I'm not talking about the UK. As an American, I can't fix the British problems, but I can talk about my own country. And it's a valid point here too, Felix. I think that you're correct there also. But that other part they do get right. I always say most Englishmen walk through hot coals or a bag of nails to get a pint. That's because they're alcoholics, Peppermint. The amount of alcoholism is extreme in the UK. So, um, remember the Guitar World Cup? Yeah, but that's a sad state of affairs. You know, arresting people for social media posts at a higher rate than Russia or China is a scary statistic for a Western country, right? Man. That's the one downside to my streams. It makes it harder for other people. Like I have so many people in my streams who are British, but 90% of my followers are American. So most Americans are not going to understand any of this British social discussion at all. Just an FYI, you know, it's very strange how staggered it is. Like when I like my analytics data versus my live streams, it's just so heavily British, but my followers themselves are 90% American. Yeah. I have no idea why that. I guess I mean, but even in the afternoons, it's not just the coffee. It makes sense for the coffee chats though, but the afternoon too. Yeah. Yeah, us Brits have a very no BS true. Um, a lot of the dedicated followers are. Yeah, a lot of the dedicated followers are absolutely British. Yeah, true, and I think that a lot of Brits get that because I've lived there. Um, hey, Sean, I'm about to give you your last warning. I've already asked you to stop with this stuff, and I've asked you to stop with the weirdness, and then you like last warning. I'm going to allow you to delete your own comment. Yep. No, I've never abused Muslim. All right. There we go. Oh. All right. You get delete this comment. It got a final warning, guys. That is the one problem with Muslims. Like they always want to push it back over. It's like that's the one issue I do run into, and that's a perfect example. They can't just leave certain stuff alone and be friendly. You know, they always have to make everything about their religion when dealing with non-believers. That's the biggest problem we do run into on occasion, right there. Right. And that's not the first time you've done that, Sean. And you know, I know that you're Muslim. Yeah. Um, so, So, all right, I'm gonna go get coffee. I'll be right back. All right. Yeah. But in short, Sean, every time a Muslim does what you just did, it starts to make me rethink that maybe I'm wrong. I used to be very anti-Islam until I got to know a couple Muslims, and I've softened to it, and I'm willing to be at peace. But then every time a Muslim knows that I changed that, and one of you guys try to throw it back at me, it makes me start to question if I wasn't right before. You're not doing yourself any favors. Like if you feel the need to bring up the fact that I used to really dislike Islam, and you feel the need to keep bringing it up, even though I'm softened on it and I'm willing to be at peace with Islam, it makes me question that. It makes me question if I wasn't previously right. You're not helping yourself. No, they're not, because why would you bring it up? You see what I mean? But you're not the only one who's done that. And I was never abusive. I've never abused any Muslims. So that's again a bit of a problem. You knew that I already had Sean. I've said that. We've had that conversation previously. In a live stream before, actually. Not the first time. Yeah. Yeah. Right. We don't dig up decades old slander. Because that's been my thing, man. I've stepped back and I said, okay, I'm willing to be at peace, right? Willing to live in peace. Right. Well, forgiveness is something that maybe you need to pray about. I struggle with forgiving people too, and it's something that I have personally prayed about in the past as part of my own relationship with God. So, well, Felix probably says, well, back in your old channel, he goes, you abused Muslims, is what he said. So it's like, I didn't abuse. I had very, very strong opinions. But no, we don't need to explain it in detail. Like, and I have very strong views on Saudi Arabia because of 9/11. Yeah, so it doesn't need to be hashed out again. Exactly. Sean, you live in the past, and that's something we've noted with your own mental problems. You're very fixated on certain time periods. I mean, that's come up in here before. Like you're stuck in 2015. Um, yeah, yeah, uh, right. Right. All right. All good, Sean. There we go. Apology accepted. Yeah. So I have a client who's Muslim, by the way, who's talked to me about a lot of this, and I've come to realize that I can be at peace with Muslims. You know, but those have been direct conversations. You know, but he's going to have his religion, and I have my religion, and we have to be at peace with that. But I don't think that we need to be killing each other over religion, right? And that's ultimately what I mean by being at peace, in the sense of I don't think we need to be having holy wars. So like in other words, we don't need to be killing each other because of our religious beliefs. You know, so that's what I mean by be at peace. You know, and while at the same time admitting like that the fact that Muslims are pretty harsh on things like alcohol and certain degeneracy. I'll agree. Like there's a commonality. There's an area that we can agree upon, right? So there's where we have common ground. Right. Right. True, but those are in those regions. There's problems that there's other regions where it isn't. Right? Oh man. Right. Oh. But we probably don't need to turn this into a big religious debate, guys. It becomes problematic for the algorithm. It becomes problematic for the conversations. So we should probably move on. Right. Because I feel like the majority of this live stream today has been about religions. It's been religious debate. So let's move on from it. Right. Talk about deadlifts. Right. Hell, let's talk about rice. What happened to our guy in here? Talking about Tim Ferriss. Oh man, and the whole Arthur Jones thing. Like that's scary that anyone still brings up Arthur Jones. It's bad enough we're talking about Minzer, but man, Arthur Jones. Hey Felix, and I get it, man. I'm a Christian also, bro. I get it. I do understand. Um, I do try to be a peaceful Christian, though. I mean, unless I'm backed into a corner, then I'll fight. Speak softly, but carry a big stick. Oh man, 2016. I don't know what all 20. I'm keeping a lot of stuff private about 2016, and there's too many things. David, I have too many things I have to resolve and irons in the fire to make cohesive 2016 plans. Anyway, let alone what I discuss in public. Pause bench versus touch and go. I don't generally promote a lot of touch and go benching. If you touch and go bench, even for hypertrophy, you need to very much control very soft touch and goes. Right. Either am I quoting the State Department. But yeah, it's just interesting that anyone wants to still bring up Arthur Jones or any of that. It's a marketing thing for their books, or to mention the Casey Viator experiment. Oh man. All right. Zoom. But at the end of the day, even for me, Christianity is about my own personal journey, of my own relationship with God, trying to be a better person, trying to live up to Christ's standards. That's the struggle. Because when we deal with that situation, that forgiveness is given for free, but there's the expectation. As Christ said, if you love me, you will do as I command. Right? Oh, can't even preach from the Bible in parts of the UK now. Never mind other countries. Yeah, see, that's problematic. Yeah. Oh. Which is why it's important in the U.S. that we defend those things here, because we do have a bastion for that here. We do have a bastion for our religion here. It's a safe place, and that has to be maintained, right? And that I will argue. I am a peaceful Christian, but the U.S. has to be our refuge. It has to be the refuge, and push come to shove, if we ever have to violently enforce that, we have to violently enforce that. Another reason that we have to stay armed, right? To maintain our freedoms. Because without the Second Amendment, you don't have any other freedoms. People talk about human rights. You have the human rights that you can enforce. Because at the end of the day, it does come down to the ability to apply force, the ability to use violence if you have to. And then hoping that you don't. Going to the gym, coach. I'll stay listening now, but might have to blast some Limp Biscuit shortly. All right, cool, Dave. Yeah. And that's always the point I make. The same with the U.S. People bring that up, and I've had people argue the other stuff about Second Amendment and violence in countries. I'm like, yeah, but your country is ripe for invasion. That is one thing. The U.S. is uninvadable even without our military. No one can take it. Our civilian population is completely unstoppable. And exactly, without agency, you're at mercy of your government. They can tax you, they can abuse you. And that was the entire point. That is why the Second Amendment was there. And ironically, the country that maintained the Second Amendment still has this enormous amount of power, enormous amount of wealth among its citizens. So, right. And this is military strategists have pointed this out. We don't even need our military to stop an invasion. If China and Russia and India, those next three biggest militaries, all joined forces and invaded the U.S., they couldn't even take our civilians. They do not have the manpower to take and hold the cities, even if our military just stepped back and said, have at it. They logistically don't have the ability to do it. They wouldn't be able to occupy us. That alone is a big deal. Yeah, the isolation is a big factor too. Right, dictators historically will seize the guns and man the right to carry. Right. I mean, California is still so peppermint. We may joke about the gun rights in California, but California, all right, how do I put this? By American standards, we can make fun of it. But compared to the rest of the world, California is still a militant stronghold of gun owners. By international standards, it's still California, if it were its own country, would still be the most heavily armed in the world behind the United States. In spite of having the most strict, crazy gun laws and the most restrictions, it's still insanely heavily armed. By global standards, California is still an insanely heavily armed region, including Los Angeles. They just struggle to reload. You know, they don't lack firepower; they lack quick reloading ability, for the most part, with their silly bullet buttons and magazine limits and all this communist nonsense. Oh, well, California is its own set of stuff. You'll have to look this up, David. You go look it up. You'll have to go look up the individual laws. It's the issue is also largely that they have to be California compliant firearms. They make changing magazines. Their guns have to be designed in such a way to where it slows down magazine changing. They have limits on how many rounds are in magazines instead of standardized sizes, right? And so on and so forth. Yeah, the U.S. is impossible to invade. And I agree, Felix. So when the right to carry is removed, then freedom of speech is then curved. Because the Second Amendment protects the first. California's laws put their citizens in danger from criminals. I agree. No, David. I mean, California is some of the strictest by far gun laws in the country, to the point where they're unconstitutional. But by world standards, they destroy Switzerland still. Right? They're still way more heavily armed than, say, Switzerland, which is known for being the most heavily armed in Europe. Like California still just destroys them. You know, they have stuff like bullet buttons. They have stuff, so you have to have a tool to change the magazine. Make sense? They limit magazines to 10 rounds. You have to have a license there, I believe. Only 29 states have constitutional carry. And then New York is up there with California too. But it's more of New York City, not always the entire state. But so actually, let me see how many states now have constitutional carry. I remember when it was only like 15 earlier in my lifetime, or 10. As of now, 29 states have constitutional carry out of the 50. So yeah, if you get a license, you can go walk the streets. California has pretty strict licensing though. Whereas in Texas, for example, is constitutional carry. Problem is you're a foreign national. That's your problem here. The U.S. government restricts you. So Texas usually has you have to be able to be a legal gun owner. That's the only requirement. If you can legally own a gun, you can carry in Texas without a permit of any type. But because you're not an American citizen or you haven't applied to the federal government on a visa to be allowed to carry, you can't legally own the gun. Connor, you have to apply for the federal right to possess one. You still have to petition. There's a license that the U.S. government requires for non-citizens to own a gun. So unless you've been given that federal license to own a gun, no, you're not legally allowed to own a gun. Therefore, you can't carry. So back over, Lars, if you're here on a green card, you have to petition the federal government for the right to possess and own a firearm. There's a process for this. There's a license you can get. And as long as you can legally own a firearm, Texas allows you to carry. But if you're here on a green card in the federal government, I don't know how long the current process is. It's going to involve some serious background checks, though. Ownership. So let me see what it currently involves. A person's immigration status. Okay, so green card holders are less restricted. As long as they meet the federal, state, and local requirements, background checks. All right. So green card holders might not, I'd have to dig further. They may be exempt once they get their green card if they can pass the individual background checks on the firearms. I think background checks are unconstitutional, correct? For non-citizens, I think it's reasonable, but if you're an American citizen, it's technically, if we go by the wording in the Constitution and the old interpretations of it, they're in theory a violation of your constitutional rights. So yeah, I believe background checks are unconstitutional. I think violent criminals shouldn't be let out of jail. I think if you're too dangerous to be allowed to exercise your Second Amendment, you should be in a cage. Because what's going to stop you from getting a hold of a vehicle? What's going to stop you from getting any of this other stuff? You know, if you're dangerous, a dangerous person, they need to prohibit you from a driver's license. So Lars, we come back over to, are you rehabilitated or not? This is the problem. This is a justice system problem. The Constitution says that you have a right to carry. So the question becomes, why are you letting unrehabilitated violent criminals out and putting them on the street? You know, and that's the issue with it. Because these background checks take a lot of time and money and resources. And they also interfere with slowing down people needing to get stuff. I mean, within reason, mine are 30 seconds. They auto flagged me to clear eventually because I purchased so many that at one time they just put a thing in there. I was usually cleared in like 30 seconds. But this is problematic when people get delayed for several days. Well, what if they need that? And it's taking up tax dollars for this system to be in place. It's wasting our money to violate your constitutional rights. Our government's in debt. We don't have money to waste on violating our constitutional rights. It's not free. So therein lay the problem. So I would come back over and ask that question of, why are we letting unrehabilitated violent criminals out on the street? So why are we violating people's constitutional rights because we're not rehabilitating criminals? That's my biggest problem. Should someone who served 10 years for armed robbery be allowed access to a car? Should they be allowed to vote? Should they be allowed to have free speech? So, Lars, are you asking me what the Constitution says? The Constitution intended that government has no right to restrict a citizen's ability to carry. They're to have no oversight. That is what the men who wrote it intended. They were clear in their writings. It's a checks and balances against government. So I'm going to come back over to this point. So anyone who gets out of prison is eligible to carry? Currently, no. But you're saying background checks for convicts. The background check is for everybody. I have to pass a background check. You know, I've passed over 30 background checks so far. I shouldn't be subject to that as a citizen. The government is supposed to have no right to tell me no to own a firearm. That is what the Constitution intended. Just like they're not, I passed one on video. I did one on camera one day. I videoed me doing the background check and passing before. So the point is, the citizens are not supposed to be restricted. And why? Yeah, it took it real fast. Absolutely. So, Lars, why don't we have background checks for all these other things? How about freedom of speech? This is a guaranteed right under our laws. It's a guaranteed right. It doesn't say if you pass a background check. It says if you're a citizen. So why aren't we doing background checks for all this other rights? Why don't we check IDs to vote? You know, the far left has argued and passed laws to where it's illegal to check your ID when you vote. So if you can vote without an ID, which is not anywhere near as protected of a right as the Second Amendment, why do I need to produce an ID to buy a gun? So, correct. So my viewpoint, I would like to see them like vending machines, to where you just walk over with your credit card and buy it and swipe it and it drops out of the vending machine. I'd be perfectly cool with that. Modern sporting rifles from a vending machine. That would be my Second Amendment position. So my point on the violent criminal thing would be, quit letting them out of jail until they're rehabilitated. Why are we dropping a number instead of a rehabilitation? This is a criminal justice problem in our country. right? So I would argue for criminal justice reform. No, not background checks. I would make the case of why are we giving people a sentence instead of putting them in till they're fixed? Are we using prisons as a punishment, or are we using them to fix broken people so we can either isolate them if they're too dangerous to be on the street, then you put them in a cage. If they can be fixed, then you fix them and make them productive citizens again. But I mean, a perfect example, we had someone come through here, they had whatever, a 17-year-old burglary, they broke in, stole some stuff, they've lost their right. But here's my point. If someone is 17 years old and they've got a certain bad background happening, but we can rehabilitate them with prison, then we should rehabilitate them. Some people can't be fixed. And if someone is a psychopath and they're too dangerous to be fixed, then you don't let them out of the cage. So prison exists to protect society. All right? Prison exists to protect society. So we should be using it as a rehabilitation model or to isolate them. It shouldn't be you serve 15 years, you serve 10 years. It should be you stay in until you're safe to put on the street. And if you're not safe to put on the street, you're not rehabilitated. We don't get them off drugs, get job training, get whatever we need to do, right? Rehabilitate them, get them off of drugs, help with their addictions. If they need job training, if they need work skills, then give them vocational training. Put them back out as a productive member of society. And if they can't be fixed and you're like, well, they're still a violent criminal, then you leave them in. They stay in prison. That's how it should be. You don't put someone back out who you know is going to reoffend. But we don't rehabilitate enough here. We treat it like a punishment. Instead of saying, hey, are we here to fix them, make them productive members of society? But it's a drain on is it a drain on the taxpayer? What if you're making productive members of society again? That's not a drain on the taxpayer if you can fix them. But we also come back over to how about we deal with our other part. How much of this crime is a result of drugs and alcohol? Which is another point I raised with all. This is why we need to have a serious reform here. If we didn't have millions of alcoholics, would we have the crime problem that we have? If we didn't have crack, if we didn't have meth, would we have the crime problem and the violent crime problem that we have? Again, this is one reason I'm very anti-alcohol. How much of our violent crime is a result of alcoholism? An enormous. How much of it's a result of drug addiction? How much of it is a result of gangs related to trafficking of drugs? Where's our problems here? Where's our big problems? So we don't have a big drain on the taxpayer for prisons if we get rid of our drug and alcohol problem. There goes a whole hell of a lot of your crime. Well, now we've reduced the load on the taxpayer. Then we can focus on, hey, the people that do go in, can we rehabilitate them? Some don't do productive members, but how much of that environment comes from a drug-ridden background, Peppermint? So how many of the people who don't want to be productive members is because of they grew up in an environment of drug-related or alcohol-related poverty that affected that percentage? Most of it. Right? Most of it. Fix our drug and alcohol problem. Let's start with the drugs at least. Fix this. Really wage a war on drugs. You stop the flow of crack and meth into the ghetto, how fast do a lot of the ghetto problems go away? Right? Work on our alcohol problem as a society. Right? You fix these things, these other problems become lesser. Right? Then our number of criminals goes way down. Well, now it's not as big of a deal. Can we rehabilitate? Right? Can we rehabilitate a whole big chunk of who's in there? Yeah. Yeah, we never fought the war on drugs. I agree. We never really fought a war on drugs. It was all a dog and pony show. There was never a true effort. The fact that we use law enforcement and not the military says it's not a war. I see us dropping in Delta and the Navy SEALs on the cartels. I see drone strikes. Same thing, you deal with the gangs using military. Well, this is why you have psychologists, you have experts, you have people who are expertise in this. And hey, if you do get it wrong, you can put them back in, but let's come over. We're letting people out anyways. Do you see the problem, David? If we're just doing it as a rotational, you do your 5 years and you're back out. Well, we know they're probably not rehabilitated. But you're asking me, that's like asking me as a strength coach, how do you know if someone's ready for a, well, this is why you have professionals who deal with this. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not an expert in vocational and rehabilitation. So neither are you. You fix these other problems. This is why I keep saying our biggest problems in society are drugs and alcohol. This is the source of most of our problems. And here's a point we'll all agree on. We have all these different religions in here right now. We got Christians and we got Muslims, both in here. Alcohol. Can we all agree that alcohol is a tool of Satan? So we got Christians and Muslims both in here. Can we all agree that alcohol is a tool of Satan to create evil? Either group of religions in here disagree with that point. Felix, you agree on that one, Peppermint? You guys are Christians. You agree on that point? I think I feel confident in stating that. Alcohol is a tool of Satan, man. And I've seen it. I've watched it firsthand. You know? You know? It's a liquid of the, it is, man. It's a tool of evil. Felix, I said, because we got Christians and Muslims both in here. And I think if we're going to be objective with it, we both groups here can agree. Alcohol is a tool of Satan to create evil. Like he works evil through alcohol in the hearts and minds of men. Like, no, I said alcohol. So, well, I didn't even say banning alcohol, but I said that alcohol is a tool of Satan. Like he uses that as a tool. Right? It is one of his tools in his toolbox. Right. Right. People who drink while under the influence of alcohol commit a wide variety of sins: violence, infidelity, right? So on and so forth. There are tons of people out there who are not violent when they were sober, but when they drink, they're violent. There are people who are never cheaters, but when they drink, they've cheated on their spouses, right? Yeah. So for me, without going into a lot of details, that's one of the primary reason I stopped drinking originally. Okay, I'm not a violent drunk, but I will sleep with any woman when I drink. Any woman, like there's no rules. As a Christian, that's a problem. That was the reason I stopped originally. Obviously, the health and all that matters, the gains matter, but for me, that was the deciding factor. That I know that under the influence of alcohol, dude, I would bang your mom in a heartbeat when drinking. Wouldn't even think twice about it, Lars, if she offered. So you see a problem? But no rules. There's no rules. Your wife, so on and so forth. That's a problem. I can't drink and behave. Therefore, I can't drink. And I made that decision. I said, okay, I have to quit because my behavior when I drink was unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. Therefore, I made the decision that I cannot drink. And I've not drinking since then. Since I made that decision, I said, okay, I have to stop. Again, it will be 7 years on February the 18th. I'm coming up on 7 years since my last drink. That was the deciding factor. Yeah. And we can get whatever we want about me having that one long distance relationship. But, I had broken up with Brittany. I got involved with someone long distance. And I realized very shortly in there too, I'm like, I can't drink and be faithful to my girlfriend. Like I've agreed, hey, I'm going to be monogamous with you. And I can only see her like every 7 weeks. That was a deciding factor. I sat back and realized if I drink, I'm going to cheat on her. I'm going to cheat on her if I drink. And then I've broken my word. So that was, again, what ended up happening. Would you have banged Lucy Coach when drunk? Of course. Alcohol and cheating go hand in hand. And so therefore, I have control when I'm sober. I can be in control of that nature, right? If I'm sober, there's no chance I'm sleeping with another man's wife. There's no chance I'm cheating on whoever I'm with, so on and so forth. There's no chance. I can shut that down, right? But if I'm under the influence of alcohol, I can't. So it's a problem. So that's why we're coming up on 7 years sober. Now, obviously, all the medical stuff and the gains and all that matter too, but that was my primary. Yeah. Yeah. So for me, but I have to be completely sober, Felix. And I'd love nothing more than to see alcohol gone, personally. Let me be right back, guys. right, we're back. Yeah. Well, in my case, Felix, alcoholism runs in my family. Like my dad's a high functioning alcoholic. You know. Um, Hold on, here we go. All right, but back. It's going to be a GPP day here this morning. I'll get that done. Let me put a little slow in here. I always get people who hate all my form. Other than my benching, at least I'm getting okay on benching. People hate my squat. I'm getting people who criticize my squats. They don't like how I squat. I literally have people who are upset that I squat barefoot on Facebook. I have people who are like, you lean forward too much on your squats. Like, really, guys? I had someone post that last night. No, I have someone who's even last night. First off, you need to put some shoes on. Two, he's like, you lean too far forward on every rep at the bottom. You need to stay upright. It's like, really, dude? I lean forward too far. I mean, it's like double my body weight on the bar for the rep work. If I was good morning the squat, I wouldn't be able to do that weight. Like, the bar stays over my midfoot. But I always get that too. I know people are always like, you're good morning your squats. You lean forward too far at the bottom of every rep. It's like, really? Right? Same thing. They don't like any of my barefoot stuff. What's interesting is how many famous people squat and train and run barefoot and they don't catch flack. Like all the people who have a problem with me squatting barefoot, they need to go to Carrie Ann June's millions of followers and go harass her because she promotes barefoot lifting and barefoot running, by the way. They've never heard it, right? You got to wonder, Felix. But Chris Duffin got me into the barefoot squatting. Like, let's be clear who got me into it. It was Chris Duffin, one of the most elite lifters of all time, who I had conversations with. He's like gone up to the bat for me before, like with the USPA. Like he talked to them, basically, yeah, don't ban Jason. And he talked to me about it. He sent me a message afterwards. So he talked to and made sure they weren't going to during all that nonsense with the Texas State thing. So he's one of the people who went to the head office and talked to them. So I had multiple people come up to bat. I reached out to. So yeah, dude's crazy strong. But he talked to me. He's the one who sold me on it. All right. So I squat and deadlift barefoot. Like I'm big on barefoot, and I see the value in it. And I get that in a lot of commercial gyms they won't let you, but some of them will. Because let's be clear, you see people like Carrie Ann June doing it. They're allowing her to do it in commercial gyms. She trains barefoot all the time. Yeah. That's great. I didn't know that. No, I know Chris. We get along. We're cool. Yeah, the USPA, the Texas did. But that state chair is no longer the state chair anymore. Hey, Felix, it's a lot to go into. Internet nonsense and internet trolling and stalkers basically ended up getting me a state level ban while I was as a current state record holder at the time. And the issue is, I don't want to go into all the details because some of it is potentially lawsuit worthy. I don't necessarily have the funding to do all that right now, but they did me pretty dirty. Like the conversation to which I was told what was going on directly, and then over the call and hearing even in the background what was being said, I was slandered right there in that conversation, even. Like straight up the level of slander. Like but the problem is this is officials in this conversation who are part of the organization, and this is being a factor with me being suspended. Was true slander. Like if again put before a jury in a slander case, though the words that were said would fall under clear malicious slander, right, and completely unacceptable. So, especially given my public position on certain things and the things that I stand for, right, this is a problem. So, it's a problem. But this is the problem when people on the internet create hate campaigns and are allowed to remix or take different things out of context and create propaganda. The message has been said is absolutely not what I'm about or have ever said or a position I've ever held. And that's the problem. And it's a real problem. So there's been a lot of slander about certain things, and it's shocking to me that people think that it is okay to create that level of slander about someone for with no evidence to it. Shocking. So yeah, I have grounds for lawsuits against multiple organizations at this point over specific things. And essentially, what I would mean by slander, anyone claiming that I'm a self-admitted minor attracted person, that's slander. Because I am absolutely not minor attracted and sure as hell not self-admitted. Right. And that's a big problem to say, oh, they're a self-admitted. Whoa, no, I'm not. See what I mean? That's a problem. Because I'm not. And nothing I've ever said could be construed that way by any reasonable person. So that's an issue. Yeah, that's a big problem, especially given my position. And it all stems back to a single video from 2012 on my small relationship channel being taken out of context and remixed. The entire basis of it. My whole video was telling a 19-year-old to break up with his 15-year-old girlfriend and block all contact and apologize to her family. And me discussing why we as a society have age of consent laws. Yeah, I was literally saying the opposite. I defended why we needed laws in place for age of consent and why they were important, and gave a warning to young men. And it got spun into that. That shows how easily things can be warped. I literally made a video telling guys to stay away from underage girls. That was the whole entirety. And it wasn't telling 30-year-old men, it was telling 19 and 20-year-old guys, you got to be careful of this. Don't put yourself in these situations. You know, that shows how stuff can get warped. That turned into minor attracted, and as someone said, would be slander an individual in this conversation. He's trying to normalize pedophilia. What? That's the biggest slanderous lie. Problem is that was uttered by an official of the organization. No longer an official, a previous official. So that's a problem. But the whole conversation was my warning to these younger guys, like 18 and 19-year-old guys, like the guy there. I told them, I said, look, you know, that can happen when you're a younger dude. And that went, how do I put it? I mean, we all went through that. When we were 13 years old and we were in middle school, we were attracted to girls our own age, were we not? It's technically illegal, by the way, still. Where I live, it's still illegal. You can't have sex with them because you're the same age. Like, it's still a problem. They could still go to trial. You'll probably be found innocent, but you could technically be charged. And it does happen, but that's a whole set of complexity. You know, but that was the point I made. Is I get it. People reach puberty. They produce pheromones. You know, there's biology. And it was my warning in that got spun in that direction because I said that, of telling a 19-year-old guy, don't put yourself in those situations, right? You know, you're 18, 19, you're legally an adult. Don't do it. Stay away, run. And I even made a defense of the age of consent laws, of why these laws need to be enforced. It's good for society to enforce these laws. You know, we've created them in a more modern society for good reason. So I'm one of those who argues against that, because the red pill dudes argue that nonsense, don't they? Right? They get up and argue, well, you know, men, whatever, they had whatever wives of this age. Well, all right, that's fine, but that was in a different time period. We've changed that for reasons, for good reasons. You know, and that's what I even had said in that video back then, 13 years ago, almost 14 years ago now, right? In that video. And that got spun as the opposite. It's like the literal opposite. My video was literally supporting those laws being enforced. Wow. Oh, that was just ridiculous. You know. Oh man. So yeah, but that's definitely a problem. So Felix, that's what happened. That is what happened with the USPA. Oh, and they accused me of being a racist. So it's like, are we serious? But isn't that the way things work today? If you want to hate somebody in the modern world, just accuse them of being a racist or a pedophile. Like, oh. And so all my haters and detractors have accused me of both, which is ridiculous because I'm neither. And ironic because I'm someone who supports the death penalty for pedophilia. I believe it should be an executable offense. I got in a debate on that with someone a while back, and I don't know why people can't grasp that either. When I say that, they're like, well, so you're telling me a guy should be executed if he's 18 and has a 16-year-old girlfriend? I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what pedophilia is. It's children. And yeah, you should be executed. Yes, if you're 18 and you sleep with a child who is prepubescent, you should be executed. Absolutely. Hands down, straight up, you know. And I absolutely believe that. Yeah. Oh man, probably going to go ahead and wind this down, guys. This has been a nice long live stream. Let's see what I can do this afternoon. But love you guys. I'm out. I'm going to get some GPP done. I'll have footage up. Take care, guys. You're banned. That's what happened.